This is a time for judgment. Welcome to today's show. I want to share something that a subscriber on the website at timeforjudgment.com shared by the name of 44anko. And again, I would recommend joining the website if you haven't. There's a lot of great information being shared over there by the subscribers. And again, there's also exclusive content over there. But mainly the purpose of it is that it is a forum for people to share this information, interact with each other, like-minded people, to plan and figure things out as far as farming or jobs with the restrictions that are out there and everything else, and share information that you're not going to find in the mainstream media. The reason that there's a price for it is because it costs money to run the site, not that many people on the site, and also because it keeps trolls out. Otherwise, these losers who try to troll me all the time would just continually make accounts and just spam up, the forum, because that's what they do. Most people don't realize that. It's a common thing. So with having a $2.99 fee, it keeps it clean. Nobody has to worry about that stuff. There's no ads, etc. So I want to thank 44anko for sharing this. Now, it's hard for me to talk about the magic potion because they really don't want you to talk about it. And by the magic potion, if you don't know, it means vaccine. But I'm going to do it anyway in this video. And again, there's no medical information being shared here. I'm sharing an article that talks about these crazy people who are hesitant to get the vaccine. The smart people, the conspiracy theorists out there, the people who, actually know what is going on. And this article talks about an Ontario, Canada College of Physicians. They are talking about treating vaccine hesitancy with drugs and psychotherapy. So in other words, people who are anti-vaccine, anti-magic potion, should be drugged and need psychotherapy for being that way. So let's drug up the people who are hesitant about what the government's doing, who are hesitant about putting something that hasn't even, it's not even approved for the most part. Something they tell you won't even make you immune. Being hesitant about that, we'll drug people up. Then we could just convince them to take it because they'll just be, we'll pretty much give them lobotomies and they'll walk around and be like, okay, give me drugs, because they'll be drugged up and then they'll take the drug known as the vaccine. So the article says the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario want doctors to treat patients who are resistant of the one-niner vaccine with medication and psychotherapy. A revised version of the CPSO's website discusses managing anxieties related to the one-niner shot. They say it's also important that physicians work with their patients to manage anxieties related to the vaccine and not enable avoidance behavior. So they're really, really desperate, obviously, to get this into people, especially, it's a little weird since it doesn't make anyone immune. Every story we hear is about people who have taken it, who have gotten COVID, who are sick, and then they go, well, I'd be dead if I didn't take it, so you should take it too. Oh, yeah, that's the sense that they're trying to make of it, which is no sense whatsoever. And then, of course, there's nothing to be suspicious about when everybody who speaks against it gets censored all over social media, and the idiots who take it, most of them end up getting sick. And if you have an opposite opinion, you are pretty much banned from speaking. And on top of that, then you have people who want to send you so badly that they want to give you therapy and medication so that you're not hesitant. So how would that work? So medication and psychotherapy to convince you your anxieties about it. So you're not allowed to question it, right? So they're going to label questioning it as an anxiety, right? So how unbelievable is that? So if you're hesitant to take a drug that is not proven to work, you have an anxiety problem. This isn't the government trying to take control of you. And then on top of that, they want to drug you, right? So they just want to continue to drug and drug and drug you and then eventually poison you. That's the purpose here. So they say, for example, for extreme fear of needles or other cases of serious concern, responsible use of prescription medications and or referral to psychotherapy may be available options. They love throwing this out there about the needles because they want people out there who are getting it to look at it and say, oh, the reason a lot of people aren't getting it is because they're afraid of needles. And the reality is that nobody who's not getting it is really afraid of needles. That's not the purpose. Has anyone met someone who's like, I would get it, but I'm really afraid of needles? Huh? No, everybody's just really afraid of getting poisoned. That's the story here, right? So they say overall physicians have a responsibility to allow their patients to be properly informed about magic potions and not have those anxieties empowered by an exemption. And we all know, again, and I covered this on the website recently, and I highly recommend you check out the website. They've recently even come out and they ruled against religious exemptions. They want to ban all religious exemptions, especially for Christians, because they say, well, there's nothing in the Bible that says you can't take a magic potion, right? That's what they tried to say. They say there's no specific verse. Where is it? Huh? Where is it? And then they go, oh, love your neighbor as yourself. They try to quote that verse from the Bible. I mean, this is how sick they are, and tie that into getting the magic potion. Love your neighbor as yourself. We've heard mainstream media's done it. We've heard politicians do it. That's how sick they are and out of touch they are. Even though that verse has absolutely nothing to do with drugging yourself. So love your neighbor as yourself. So if your neighbor comes over and asks you to do heroin and says, if you don't do the heroin, I'm gonna be so hurt and upset and I'm gonna be ruined. So you're supposed to do it, right? And say, okay, I guess I'll do it because I love my neighbor as myself and I got to be a good person, because they'll be upset. I don't want to upset them. So yeah, sure, give me the heroin. Huh? None of it makes any sense, and they don't have to answer any questions about it, which we've seen over the course of the last couple of years, because our whole government doesn't answer any questions. They dodge every question, and nothing that's going on in the world makes any sense. They're talking about men being pregnant and men having babies and pregnant people. I mean, you want to talk about lunacy. You want to talk about as in the days of Noah. I mean, we are living in an insane time period. So they say at the height of the pandemic, the CPSO cracked down on doctors who dissented from the prevailing 1-9 narrative at the time and voiced opposition to lockdowns or other pandemic measures. Dr. Gill was among the physicians targeted by the CPSO for her anti-lockdown tweets. There's absolutely no medical or scientific reason for this prolonged, harmful, and illogical lockdown, she tweeted in 2020. The CPSO cited Gill for allegedly inappropriate and unprofessional behavior over the tweet. She stated unequivocally and without providing any evidence that there is no medical or scientific reason for the lockdown, said the CPSO. So let's look at that quote. On top of everything else here, there's no scientific reason for the lockdown. Saying that there is no medical or scientific reason for the lockdown. Okay, is there any scientific reason for the lockdown? No, there isn't. Is there any scientific reason for the vaccine? Please prove it. We were all waiting still, going on 2 years. But instead, they just use mind control tactics to convince you, and then to pretty much, in a sensitive society, the only people they'll bash these days are anti-magic potion people and Christians. But other than that, you can't make fun of anyone. You can't slander anyone. You can't call anyone stupid. You can't say anything negative about anyone except those two specific groups. I mean, you can tie conspiracy theorists into that as well. So they say her information does not align with the information coming from public health, and moreover, it's not accurate. The CPSO has gone after several other doctors for handing out exemptions to the magic potion, blah, blah, blah. And then they just go on to talk about how these new methods need to be used, that doctors need to implement these. And this is in Canada, of course, with Trudeau, which is, as bad as it gets. And, they're talking about, hey, you know what? We need to start drugging people who are hesitant to taking it because they're crazy. So give them, narcotics, give them anti-anxiety pills, give them anything that'll make them and convince them or drug them and dumb them down enough so that we can persuade them. I'm surprised they're not just giving them LSD, which they probably will do, right? They're probably just going to give them MK Ultra. They'll probably give them LSD, and then they'll probably do trauma-based mind control on them and convince them that they need to do it, right? This is crimes against humanity that's being committed. And the desperation should be enough for people to wake up and just be like, holy crap. It's all they're doing is like slandering these people and telling them to get it. But then they're telling us that when we get it, that we're not immune to it. So if people don't want to get it, I understand. That's what common people should say. But instead they say whatever the mainstream media tells them to say. They just repeat, rinse and repeat. Listen, rinse, repeat. Day after day. That's why people around you say the things that they do. Because they're so dumbed down, they're programmed, and they just walk around saying what they hear. And they have nothing to back it up. And then when you tell them about the immune stuff, they just go, come on, be a good person. I'm fine. Look at me. Yeah, you might be okay right this second, but the odds of that lasting are not very good. So the vaccine hesitancy with drugs and psychotherapy, according to the Ontario College of Physicians, They're going to start doing stuff like this. I mean, that's how insane this is, because this is never going to end. They have to get this in you. And if they have to do it other ways by telling you that there's other potions to take, because they need control of your DNA. That's what it's about. A reminder, check out the website at timeforjudgment.com. This is where I find out stuff like this. I would never have known about this. I mean, this is a very interesting article. Lots of people share a lot of interesting articles over there. You can learn a lot, share a lot, and interact with like-minded people. I want to thank everyone here on YouTube for being here. I appreciate you guys greatly. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families.